Okay, south, north, east. This ridge is in situ, more or less, but there's lots of open joints. The end ridge tile is completely off of its mortar bed and has slipped out of position, as you can see here. I'll show you a close-up of that shortly. There is a slate there which has slipped out of place, and looking up the line I can see that it's come from here where the chimney abutment meets the roof. That there, central to the picture, is lead. It's a lead soaker which is now exposed. That should be underneath the slipped slate. So that needs refixing and can be done fairly easily and quickly. It could be that the slate itself has snapped, in which case we'll need to replace the slate with new. Moving towards the centre of the roof, you have a cementitious flaunching of mortar underneath the copings, between the coping stones and the roof slates. You have this cementitious mortar which is failing at towards the bottom edge. That must be about 1.5 linear meters of mortar just crumbling away down there. There's something up with the end coping, but from this vantage I can't quite see what it is. I'll move and take a closer look. A little bit of spooling damage to the stone. Now these are Now this shows me that these are made of hamstone, but they've been painted in bitumen, presumably to increase the impermeability. The only downside of that is that any moisture that gets into the stone is going to be locked in there for longer periods of time, because it can't dry out, because the bitumen's holding the moisture inside. So this is probably the reason for that spooling. Looks like there's a slight hairline crack running leftwards from that spool, so I'd imagine at some point the end of that stone's gonna drop off. Most of your chimneys have been capped, and capped well. I see breather vents such as this one on all of them, I think. Well, I can't see one on this, but certainly most of them anyway. Breather vents are what you want to prevent condensation inside the chimney. Got some exposed wood. I'm not sure what that's doing. It's a piece of batten. I can't make any sense of that, but it's not causing any problem, so I'll just leave it there. Down below me here on the south side above your driveway, we've got quite a badly cracked slate there, a little piece of it on the lead roof below. Placement for that would be optimum. I see lead work there. Oh no, that's correct. I believe that's correct. Here's another look at the flaunch, which has failed. Rooftop tops are generally, I'll just pan across the rooftops, because apart from the two that I've mentioned thus far, the roof is in pretty good order. Lovely fresh paint there on the chimneys, masonry paint, good lead work. I'm stood on lead work, big thick lead roll. Looking at it closer, can't see any holes, can't see any expansion cracking, flashings around the bases of the chimneys, all looking pretty sound. You've got the roll top on the hips of lead. I haven't had a proper look at that yet, but I haven't seen anything alarming. Again, another view of that ridge tile there, which is just sat there. Moving along. Yeah, very sound. The ridge tiles, coming back to the ridge tiles, yeah, you can see how weathered away the mortar is, and on the undersides as well. Gets better towards this end actually. Not too bad. It's not too bad. I wouldn't recommend raising them and rebedding them. Possibly just a little bit of repointing in the joints. Cut the joints out with an angle grinder, the perpendicular joint here, and repoint it and leave the rest. Kind of minimum approach. On this pitch, one slate down here, which is falling apart, and you can see examples of other ones where you kind of have this, like the top layer of the slate laminating. Here, closer at hand, here's my hand, and so you can see it's just kind of very shallow surface loss. These ones, although they look bad, aren't too bad at all. Maybe it is a sign of, you know, at some point they will completely fail, and there's quite a number of them. So I'm presuming that's freeze fall action. Bit of a cracked one here, a little bit of a slip slate come from somewhere up above, but I can't see where. The roof was obviously well conceived. This breather vent here, allowing fresh air into your attic space, which is really good to see. The breather vent here. This gutter here, I add plastic gutter, discharges onto the roof. Probably not the best thing, all that additional water running down the slates, but often you'll see, you know, damaged slates underneath a discharge like that, but I can't see any sign of the slates suffering for it. But all that extra water kind of rolling down one part of the roof isn't ideal. Just to talk about the breather vents, yeah, all of your chimneys appear to have breather vents, which is great, and lots of breathers on the roof pitches as well. A little bit of debris build up in your chimney valley. Not sure what that's actually called. Same there. We've got a cracked slate to the side of this chimney, and a crack in the wrong place, I would say, so probably worth considering replacing that. This roof pitch is looking pretty good. North chimney. 2 breather vents here, good to see. Roof pitch looking pretty good. There is a broken slate there, and perhaps that's from eaves level. That's actually fallen out from that location. I see something a bit dodgy there. I think I can see bricks grinning through the leadwork. I'll take a closer look. Another observation, on the hip rolls you have these, so they've cut the underlying lead and turned it over to stop the wind from lifting the overlying lead. They've done that all the way along, but a lot of those are kind of out of position. They've been heated and been blown around, and they're not holding their original form. I'm not fully understanding what is occurring with this flashing. If you take a closer look, you can see the brickwork grinning through there, and you can see the other piece of lead, the soaker, rising up. So that I'm touching now belongs to that. That's the same piece of lead as the gutter. That rises up, and then this flashing is to should serve as a cloak, just going into the brickwork and then down over. And for some reason, it's as though it's been cut all the way along with a knife. And that is not ideal. So you have water going straight in behind the flashing, straight in behind the soaker, and that will go down between the lead and the brick, and then into the roof structure itself, rotting timbers, who knows what. This flashing needs to be replaced. Looking at the tops of your dormer windows, we have a little bit of damaged hamstone there. That looks pretty deep as well, and fractured, so water's going to be penetrating into the stonework there and going somewhere, who knows where. Be interested to know if you've got any damp problems in the top corner of that room associated with that. Lead work all looks good. The roof looks like it's a fiberglass with a clear outlet. That's good. Little bit of superficial damage to the hamstone beyond. Moving on to the porch roof. Generally really sound, solid hamstone. Tiny bit of plant growth coming up here where you've got this loose piece of hamstone. That's a pretty quick repair. Just literally glue it back down and perhaps insert a couple of stainless steel pins and make good around the edges with mortar repairs, colour matched to the hamstone colour. Relatively quick job. A little outlet there, which is, despite its small size, running clear, which is good. This roof appears to be sound. I should also mention that there are 1 or 2 open joints on the underside. All that you can see light grinning through that. Also on the perpendicular joint there. So probably some other open joints along. On the porch roof, same. open joint here. Generally the joints are pretty good. Looks like you've had some repointing done on this one in the past. The water test. So it is very deep here where the ladder's come up, and I don't think that's just because of the pressure that the ladder's putting on the guttering. I can see it running along, and it is kind of trickling around the corner there. So I'll go up onto the rooftop higher above and see how far along that's getting. Here it's running along and then stopping short of the corner, so there's an awful lot of volume of water that this can hold here at this point, and it gets thinner and thinner and thinner as it goes that way until the gutter's completely dry. Sitting here on the chimney at the north end, so obviously I put the water in there. It's come around the corner, it's got as far as this joint. There's obviously a bit of an up at that point because it hasn't made it past, but that said, this lot of water is probably draining that way to the outlet, which comes out onto the roof. But yeah, a little bit of pooling on the corner because of this step. A little bit of pooling on the corner. Onto the south side, water's started to make it round the bend, but not very much, and it's made it to there, and it's just creeping along. Well, I've climbed over to here to the outlet, and it's bone dry, so it hasn't made it along as far as this, which yeah, is not ideal. It's been given a bit more time to do its thing, and I can see now that there's telltale signs of moisture in the gutter, so it is moving along just at a snail's pace. Quite clearly on the east side it's badly bowing downwards, so probably if you were to prop that up it would just help it along this section a bit quicker. It's running, so that means that is downhill, that is uphill.